having tech issues already. So this, hopefully I'm live now. This Facebook Live was meant to be part of a scheduled one at 11 o'clock. It, uh, I feel you can hear me anyway. Yeah, I'll start again because I don't think the first bit recorded. So I was trying an experiment really to see how this Facebook scheduled live thing. I'm not convinced that the internet here at my parents' house is fast enough to start it straight away. So I ended up just starting it manually. So anyway, we're on. I thought I'd do a series of these kind of Q&A Facebook Live stuff because I'm realising there's quite a lot of things going on out there at the moment, and getting feedback from clients and also from friends as well. I started to realise that certain things that I know and maybe take for granted for a certain extent that could potentially be useful for people. There's another reason for trying new things as well, and that is about extending what you would probably hear as comfort zone. I don't actually believe there is a comfort zone. I think there's a comfort spectrum. And I think particularly during lockdown, what I've noticed is, both with clients and also myself, if I'm honest, that because we were caught in a little bubble of just having to do the same things over and over again and becoming very sort of habituated to doing relatively restricted things, that then the concept of doing something new could create levels of adrenaline, cortisol, anxiety, worry, and that wasn't necessarily very helpful in life. I definitely experienced it as well. So one of my ways to counteract this kind of heightened level of anxiety and worry is to do new things and deliberately do them on a regular basis. So you'd have seen, so if you look on my posts, I went and did some curling. Now, it's not exactly dangerous, but it's new. And like part of the brain's going, oh, I don't like this because it's new and I might be rubbish at it. This week, I've tried to schedule Facebook Live. Didn't work particularly well, to be honest. Ended up launching it manually myself. But it's basically kind of pushing that comfort spectrum out a little bit so that then general day-to-day life, we shouldn't really experience a lot of unnecessary anxiety and worry, while also recognizing that that system within our brain is quite useful. So I'll give you a couple of specifics around anxiety and worry that you might find interesting. So I had two things come up this week. Actually, one was last week. One was a very good friend of mine's got her daughter's wedding coming up, and she was experiencing anxiety around that, which to a certain extent is understandable because you want it to go well, but equally, really fundamentally, you want to enjoy the day. This week, I was chatting to a very good friend of mine, and we were talking about the heat wave coming up, and that sometimes she can experience levels of panic attacks because of the heat. Because obviously, with particularly in the UK, we could have historic levels of temperature coming up here, and with that very hot air, sometimes people can struggle to breathe. Now, many years ago, 2005, I went through quite a bad period of depression after stacking up a couple of relationship breakups. Smart move. And I actually went through a series of panic attacks. So I basically learned how to deal with them. So we're gonna cover that in the video today as well. Equally, if you've got any questions while I'm yabbering away, feel free to stick them in, and I'll answer them as best we can. I won't be on for very long today, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, fundamentally, you have a limbic system in your brain which is designed to protect and serve you, and that classically would be known as the fight and flight area of the brain. It's actually fight, flight, and freeze. So often it will release a lot of adrenaline. It's preparing you for something significant. It's a really useful system. If you're about to cross the road and you're sort of unaware of a car consciously, your limbic system might pick that car up, send a warning to you, or something, go, and you pull back from stepping into the road. That's really useful. When we were in prehistoric times, caveman, cave women, that limbic system was massively useful because there was a lot of danger around and we needed to be aware of it. In fact, funnily enough, the ones that survived, our ancestors, are the ones that had this system because they were aware of threat. It is useful these days, very occasionally, but it's kind of your health and safety officer, really. It still thinks it has a role probably more important than it does have. So The challenges with lockdown and being in a very, very restricted environment is your body and brain get used to that restricted environment. So then actually coming back to what we call normality can be quite stressful. So actually what I found is with my clients generally and also myself, I found my anxiety and worry levels are somewhat elevated compared to what they used to be. In fact, I went through a relationship breakup myself in December last year, and I could feel really heightened levels of anxiety and like concern about the future. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. And actually, a lot of the techniques that I'm going to talk to you about didn't work that well. It was that high. So that then brings us to what do we do before doing NLP and coaching techniques? And the first thing I think I would do is just question your brain: is this real? Is this anxiety or worry real? Like, okay, if you're playing a significant role at your daughter's wedding, is anxiety real? Well, you want it to go well, but like there's not really that many things, given the amount of preparation that's gone on, that can actually go wrong. So, and you can probably deal with any of them. So there might be some concern, but high levels of anxiety and worry, is it real? Is it appropriate? Probably not. So this questioning of the health and safety officer slash limbic brain is a useful thing to do up front. Before you start throwing techniques at it, why don't we try and just talk it down to a more reasonable level? Not being able to breathe in the heat. Can you breathe when the air is hot? Yes, unless it's mega extreme conditions, which would be out in the middle of the desert with no protection at all, which is, yeah, I wouldn't do that. So again, is it real? Well, you know what? I should take appropriate measures like close curtains, keep the house cool, put the fans on, drink lots of water, stay out of direct sun for as long as you can, etc., etc., etc. That makes sense to do that. It makes sense to have a level of concern or awareness that, what, the temperatures we're going to experience over the next few days, you need to be a little bit careful. High levels of anxiety, concern doesn't actually make any sense. So we can start to talk down the anxiety. Like, for example, for me, where mine got the worst, I was playing in quite an important croquet tournament. I play weird sports like croquet. Playing a very important croquet tournament. I was having lots of texts with my ex. They weren't particularly pleasant. I'll take my ownership of my side of it as well. So I was kind of building up this kind of fight or flight response while trying to play quite a calm game. It's not really, it's quite vicious croquet. I just couldn't swing the mallet straight. So like, I was trying to do two things at once that were in competition. Okay, so that negotiation with the brain, which actually is a technique that Steve Peters talks about in the chimp paradox, negotiating with the health and safety officer, the limbic brain, is a really smart thing to do. And I can't emphasize enough the role in that in any sort of mindset where you feel off. Just have a chat with that part of the brain, just see where it takes you. There's another physiological thing we need to be aware of. If we're generating like large amounts of adrenaline and cortisol, generally exercise is a good thing to do. So obviously in hot weather, that's trickier. So maybe it's more going to be sort of swimming or that sort of thing where it's going to be cool. Or I've got a cool room in the house where I just go and do weights and just basically try and burn it off. I try and get active to just get rid of those chemicals out of my system. Because if you're trying to do mindset techniques when you've got high levels of these chemicals floating around, it actually is really difficult. So you might think, well, it doesn't work. That being said, if you've got some level of anxiety or worry about the heat or about a wedding or whatever it is, I'm just going to give you a few things to look at that could be useful. So the first one is very, very physiological. You won't be able to see it because I'm sat down on my chair, but you put your feet flat on the ground, get centered, get grounded. Imagine roots going down from your feet into the earth. So we're grounding ourselves. You can do this standing up, feet shoulder width apart if you want to. And really just get that feeling of being connected to the ground. That's just going to drop your energy down because anxiety and worry comes up here. So we want to drop it down. The next thing we want to do is start to look at our breathing. So my friend that was worried about panic attacks, the only way you can have a panic attack is if you effectively pant either with your mouth or your nose. So he's like, oh. So what we need to make sure we do is we make sure we circle the breath. I've actually got a deviated septum that I need to get sorted out, but I can still get a bit of air through my nose. So in my case, I'm going to breathe in through my mouth and out through my nose. You can do it the other way around if that feels better for you. So we're circling the breath. If you circle the breath, you slow the breath down and you can't pant. So What panting does, panic attacks do, is what you end up doing is over-oxygenating the blood. That has physiological effects on your body. You start to get dizzy and giddy and disconnected. So what we're trying to do is slow the breath down and make sure we get the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels correct in our system. That's why when people say put a paper bag over someone's mouth when having a panic attack, not many people have a paper bag handy these days, but you can literally just cup your hands. Let me just turn sideways. Just put them, doesn't have to be close to the mouth like this, just out from the mouth like this, and just breathe into your hands. Circle the breath. What happens then is the air, which has more carbon dioxide in it, bounces back off the hands, goes back into the system, just settles things down. Okay, so breathing. Patterns of breathing are very important. The one that I tend to recommend to clients now is box breathing, because it's easy to remember. So it's fours. You breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Remember, use the nose or just circle it. Pause for 4. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, pause for 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. Dead easy. Another style of breath that you can use is a calming breath, which is breathe in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. I had trouble multitasking there. So in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. So that's a triangle. Okay. Other things we can do just to calm things down physiologically are to use pressure points. So one good pressure point is the fleshy bit between the thumb and forefinger. We can just rub that. That reduces anxiety. We can put pressure in the Laogung point here. So push your thumb into the middle of your palm. That reduces anxiety. We can chop. That reduces anxiety. You can do this very subtle ways. I'm doing it in very obvious ways. You can do it anywhere you are. If you're at the pub or in a restaurant or with friends, you can literally just gently chop on the chair you sat in or whatever. And then the other thing you can do is if you imagine these are your toes, you can just literally just roll up onto the base of your toes. So it's not tiptoes, but you're just rolling up onto the base of your toes. That's a pressure point as well for anxiety. So all those things are useful. So grounding, feel the roots go down to the earth. Use mouth and nose for the breath. Do 4-4-4-4 box breathing, or do 4-7-8 relaxation breathing. And then you've got the pressure points and your toes as well. Okay, cool. Right. Couple more techniques that can be useful. One of which is called collapse anchor. Collapse anchor is you take your non-dominant hand. So in my case, my left hand, even though we're mirrored probably on the video. And if I'm feeling any anxiety or worry, I'm just going to take it out from wherever it is in my body, normally anywhere somewhere between stomach and chest often. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it in my hands. I'm then going to imagine what colour has that got? What shape has it got? Has it got a weight? Has it got a temperature? Has it got a texture? So I did this with a friend of mine the other day. She had almost like a green, sort of slimy oval, quite cold. Okay, put that down. Then this is your kind of what I call it power ball. Doesn't have to be a ball. You add great stuff into into your hands. So all the stuff that you love about yourself, people that love you, people you love, things you're proud of, favorite memories, all positive stuff. Keep pouring it in. Look at what that forms. So mine forms a shape. It forms a sphere. It's dark blue. Mine, it's cold-ish. It's got a reasonable weight to it, and it's smooth. Okay, so just form whatever that is for you, and then you bring up whatever the anxiety looks like, which is that in my friend's case was kind of a slimy green slime. You must make sure that the powerful stuff feels a lot more powerful than the anxiety or worry. If not, you need to go back and build this up more, because that's pretty much going to stay how it is. So you've got to build this more till it's more powerful, and then you just bring them together. And then you just imagine your powerful shape rolling up your hand from your arm and into the anxiety hand. So just imagine it just circling down. Just keep doing that, and at some point something should change. It might not. This technique might not work for you. The physiological stuff I spoke about earlier should work for everyone. This thing called collapse anchor doesn't always work for people, but it generally does. Just allow it until It feels like it's sorted. And then when you open your hand, you're going to look at your good hand first. You're going to look at your powerful hand first. So that's my blue ball. And then I'm going to look at my other hand in a minute. And one of a few things might have happened. It could have not changed, so this technique's not going to be good for you. It could have reduced in size, so you maybe want to do this technique a few more times. It could have disappeared, or it could have even turned into blue ball. So just look at that hand, just notice what's happened. If you want to repeat the exercise, do it. Collapse anchor. Final thing, which is similar to the kind of the blue ball power stuff, is I call it color spinning. All color spinning is you find out where the anxiety or worry is in your body. Might be anywhere here, this area. You take it out, and that worry or anxiety is going to move in one of four ways. It can be this way, rolling away from you. It can be this way towards you. It can be this way to the side, or this way to the side, or sometimes it can pulse. If you're not sure, often rolling away is the most common. So just imagine, don't overdo it. Just imagine your anxiety, worry, whatever way makes it worse. Just roll it a little bit that way, and just to check that. Oh yeah, that makes me feel worse. Okay, let's say it's this way. All right, all you can do is slow it down and stop. And then you think of your favorite color. It's probably the same colors as your power ball or power hand. So mine's dark blue. So in a moment, I'm just going to change that color from it. That probably that there. I'm just going to give that a color. That horrible anxiety worry. Mine's quite a murky greeny brown. So I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to change it to blue, or whatever your color is, and then just roll it back the opposite way. It's nice and powerfully. Imagine that going nice and powerfully the other way. Your favorite color rolling your favorite way. Let's pop it back in and keep rolling it, and then roll it all the way around your body, all up from your legs, up through your chest and arms and chest, and all the way up through your head. Don't need to worry about what color that old anxiety and worry was. Just whenever you're feeling a little bit off, just roll your favorite color, your favorite way all around your body. Do your collapse anchor, do your breathing, do your grounding, do your pressure points, circle your breath, 4-4-4-4, 4-7-8, whatever you want to do, all good. I can't see any more comments have come into the live. So if you've got any questions about anything, don't care. Can be personal life, can be business, can be just a curiosity about a particular topic. Give me a shout. If not, I'm gonna knock this live on air because I've gone for 17 minutes, guys. I thought I'd do about 5. All good. Unashamedly, I've got a membership group that I've started. It's going to be live in the next week or so, which has got all my techniques in it, all my programs I've ever done in it, all the interviews I've ever done, all the people I've ever interviewed, all my stuff in one Facebook group. If you're coming in July, it's 50 quid a month or £500 up front. Each month between now and December, it will go up by £10 a month, and an equivalent upfront amount, purely because I'll have more in the site, and then I'll probably have it finished until I start adding more content, obviously. But all my archive will be finished by December. So if you want to come in July, it's 50 quid a month, or £500 up front. If you're interested, and some people very kindly have already expressed an interest, just drop me a message and I'll be happily talk to you more about what's involved. Okay, thanks very much for your time. Bye for now.